the Pokemon trading card game is something I never really understood as a kid. And now, here I am at the ripe old age of 29, diving right back into the fray. To keep things interesting, I'm going to stick to buying sealed product. No trades, no singles, no easy way out. With a budget of just $50 a week, I'm going to build the best competitive deck I can, and see how it stacks up against the pros.
Welcome back, everyone. Sorry for the stunning lack of an episode last week. To be honest, things just got a little crazy at work, and I wasn't able to do much more than film myself opening the packs. So, not great. I'm really sorry I didn't give you guys a heads up about it. To be honest, I am going into a very busy time of the year at work. But now that I have a better sense of how busy I'm going to be over the next couple weeks, I should be able to give you guys a heads up just in case I have to miss an episode in one of the upcoming weeks. Although I am going to be doing my very best to make sure you get one every week from now onward, right? Now, all the guilt and apologies aside, we've got to get back down to the business of trying to make Pikarom work in a world where 300 plus HP is the norm, and it seems like nobody can challenge the duopoly that is Eternatus VMAX and ADPZ. Although, to be fair, I kind of have to check myself a little bit. Pikarom has been doing surprisingly well. I don't think it's topped any events, or at least taken the first place at any events, but it has been, I think, consistently in like top 16s and top 8s, despite the fact that everybody was making proclamations of its early demise. Now, obviously, these lists that are currently winning now, they have things like Pikachu V for the item lock. You know, they're playing Wondrous Labyrinth, which is really nuts. I didn't think you would play Wondrous Labyrinth in a non-fairy deck with a main attacker who has a 3 energy cost attack minimum, but people are making it work, and you know, you can take games off of Eternatus, you can take games off of Centiskorch in some cases. Pikarom as an annoying kind of stun deck is a very interesting direction to take it. But alas, we are doing sealed only, and I don't have those cards yet, and due to the weird, unfortunate scheduling nightmare that preceded this episode's creation and editing, I already know that the packs I'm going to open are not exactly going to put me in that stun kind of direction. But hey, that doesn't mean I'm not going to make do, and that I can't make some interesting decisions this week. And it certainly doesn't mean that the deck is dead in the water, right? We are still able to take a win every now and then. Anyway, all that awkward foreshadowing aside, let's just crack some packs. Okay, ladies and gents, by now, you know the drill. We got a bunch of packs. Unfortunately, not the 2 packs, because once again, they are sold out everywhere. or I can't be bothered to wait a week to get them because I want to bring you, you know, some good Pokemon sealed only action. But hey, Darkness Ablaze pull rates, at least for the binder, have been good so far, so let's see what we can do. The hunt for Pikachu V continues, as does the hunt for Crobat V. Who knows, maybe we'll get lucky. Yeah, I don't know. It's literally 2 cards out of the entire set we're looking for. I don't know that there's anything else that's really going to help us out, so let's hope the gods of the pull are with us this week, because if it's like last week where we literally just got a Birdkeeper to use, I am going to be extremely depressed. Okay, here we go. Psychic Energy, Yellhorn, Flaffy, Carnivine, Jigglypuff, Dunsparce, Clink, Marini, Torchic, Reverse Hollow Shiinotic, and not a Tapu Koko V. Obviously Tapu Koko V is not in the set, but maybe to prevent the auto loss against Decidueye. It's got the same, you know, draw 2 attack as the V Tapu Koko, and it gives up 1 less prize, so I don't know, maybe. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Grass Energy, Lairon, Simipour, Spikemuth, Galarian Darumaka, Sentret, Rowlet, Squovit, Spinarak,
Reverse Holo Steenie, and a Mew V. Okay, cool for the binder. Nothing really useful in there, but hey, what can we do? All right. Come on. I want a Vikavolt. I want a Crobat. Give me. Give them to me. Okay. Grass Energy. Steenie. Old piece. This is literally like the worst trainer card in this set. Ursaring, Galarian, Mr. Mime, Torchic, Aeron, Rookidee, Wishy-Washy, a rare fossil, reverse holo, and Galarian Darumaka. No. Oh, come on. Come on, come on, come on. Give us something, please. Alright. Metal Energy. Combuskin, Staravia, Zweilous, Grimer, Clink, Skitty, Pansage, Golett, Reverse Holo Klinklang, and a Slowbro V. Ooh, okay. Nice for the binder. If we were playing like a Toxtricity VMAX deck, that would be the way to go. Yeah, not sure I can make much use of that. Although the poison damage could be interesting, like if we want to stack it or whatever, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright. Lightning Energy, Hiding Dark, Parasect, Toxapex, Wishy-Washy, another Cufant, another Dino. I think we have like 12 of these already. Pansear, Mareep, Reverse Holo Swanna, and a Holo Suicune, which I think is the second we've pulled out of Darkness Ablaze so far. So, potentially only one useful card for the deck, but hey, so it goes. So it goes. Oh, so sniffly today. It's such a gross rainy day outside. Water Energy, another Birdkeeper, Steenie, Furret, Larvesta, Hippopotas, Golett, Skitty, another Dino, make that like 50, Shelmet, and a Dracozolt for the rare. Oh, 3 packs left. What are we doing here, guys? What are we doing? Your guess is as good as mine. Come on. Crobat, Vikavolt, please. Fighting Energy, Cape of Toughness, Powerful Colorless, Solrock, Starly, Skarmory, Pansage, Electrike, Fletchling, Reverse Holo Purloin, and a Full Art Rose. Now, don't get me wrong, that's really nice, but no love for our deck because we do not play Pokemon VMAX. Oh, I mean, it's a really good one for the binder, it is, but for our deck, not so much. Okay, Dark Energy, Vibrava, Gothorita, Pokemon Breeders Nurturing, oh, so clumsy today. Spinarak, Bonsweet, Dunsparce, Electrike, Galarian Mr. Mime, Reverse Holo Lairon, and a Thievul for the rare. Last pack, ladies and gents, last pack. Come on. Can I get a Vikavolt? I don't think we will be. I wonder if the different color code cards do actually still mean anything. I don't know. Fire Energy, Pupitar, Breeders Nurturing, Fletchinder, Vanillite, Trapinch, Teddiursa, Pansear, Morlul, Teddiursa, Mimikyu. That is a disappointing one, ladies and gents. That is a very disappointing one. I mean, maybe I'll throw this in here just to get the 2 cards. And it does have free retreat, so that's useful. Maybe. And we did get the other Birdkeeper, right? Somewhere. Yes. Okay. Well, no love, man. No love. Okay, so maybe the Birdkeeper and the Tapu Koko would make for some nice additions to the deck. Let's see. We do need something to prevent the auto loss against Decidueye. This does get 2-hit KO'd by it, but you deal a decent amount of damage with the Electric Ball there. And being able to draw 2 is nice, although now I see it doesn't do any damage, so maybe not. But this is good. Always another switching option, see more cards, that kind of thing.
that brings us up to 3, I guess. Anyway, let me see what I can do with the deck this week, and then we will jump into some games. So, yeah, definitely not going in the Pikarom control direction this week. This week, it's mostly just tweaking some ratios, tossing in another Birdkeeper, and actually bringing back an old friend in the Zapdos from Team Up. Honestly, Zapdos, I know it might seem like a suboptimal choice right now, but I really don't like the auto loss against Decidueye. You know, and there's some synergy with Birdkeeper there as well, what with being able to switch, fling Zapdos into the active, and sting for 80 while you're drawing 3 cards. Now, of course, this isn't going to win you games against Decidueye necessarily, but it is a nice way in the early game to assert some pressure against any Rowlets that might come down, any Jirachi, you know, and who knows, if you can take out the only Rowlet on somebody's board on your first or second turn before they can evolve it, then you're in a much better position to hopefully go on to win the game. And hey, you know, 80 damage might not be a lot, but it's not insignificant damage against something like Eternatus VMAX, and serving up a single prizer versus a 3 prizer like Pikarom is very preferable, I think, in most cases. And let's see, otherwise, I've bumped up the natural lightning energy count to 12, because I am really getting sick and tired of whiffing energy. I know it's going to lead to some bad draws, but I also know that I just need to be dumping as much energy into the discard pile as I can early on if I really want to get that turn 1 full blitz off. Not that that's necessarily a must-have in every case, but 9 times out of 10, if I don't get the full blitz off by my first or second turn of being able to attack, that's probably it for me. So anything I can do to kind of speed that up, yeah, I'm going to do it. And really, that's about it, ladies and gentlemen. That's the list. So let's jump into some games and see how this monstrosity of a Pikarom deck does. Well, we're off to a rough start, ladies and gentlemen, because round 1 pits Pikarom against Eternatus. And in the absence of hammers and Team Yellgrunts, I've got to be honest, the prospects are not good. My opponent starts with the Crobat V in the active, while I lead Jirachi. Now, I've got Tapu Koko Prism Star and Boltund in hand, as well as 2 energy and a Professor's Research, so I do have a pretty good chance of getting off my combo turn 1. My opponent slaps down the Eternatus and attaches a Hiding Darkness energy to the Crobat V before passing the turn to me. Naturally, I go full gas trying to get off my turn 1 combo, but I made a mistake in attaching an energy to Boltund instead of Pikarom. I was starting to get worried that I would whiff the combo, and I would rather attach the energy and maybe, you know, fling Boltund up and go for an Electrify instead, which I do end up having to do instead of getting my turn 1 full blitz. But here's the thing, usually by the time an Eternatus VMAX comes down, the game is probably over, and at that point you know your opponent is going to start loading their bench, which my opponent proceeds to do. They proceed to put a ton of bodies on their bench, drawing through their deck with Crobat Vs and pinging me for damage with Zigzagoons all the way. Now, I get desperate, so I slap down a Dedenne in an attempt to see something useful, and you know, ultimately I realize I'm kind of forced to go the Boltund route, and yeah, with 6 energies in play, it's more than powerful enough to take a KO on a Crobat and chip Eternatus if it somehow survives, but obviously my opponent just brings in the Giant Claw and KOs Boltund. I do bring Pikarom up, but then I lose my nerve, and I see if I can save it for 1 turn, so I grab that Zapdos with a Quickball and send it flying into Sting Eternatus for a massive 80 damage. Another Eternatus VMAX comes down, and then another one does, and then my opponent blows up Zapdos. I bring in Dedenne and do a very cute energy switch play to fire off a Tingly Return GX, paralyzing the Eternatus VMAX in the active and hopefully buying me 1 more turn. But of course, my opponent gets the switch and the boss's orders and brings a very swift end to my hopes and dreams. The next game has me go up against a very strange take on a top tier deck. I lead Jirachi and Hoopa against a double and 2 Galarian Meowths. My opponent attaches a metal energy to the double and passes. Now at this point I'm super confused, I'm not really sure what I'm up against, but I at least know the double is not getting a boost from any of the potential Galarian Berserkers that are going to come down, and I know it's not going to hit super hard until I start taking some prizes. Regardless, we are playing Pikarom, so I go full ham, trying to get off my turn 1 combo. but unfortunately I end up just having to Marnie and pass. On my opponent's turn, they immediately slap down an ADP and attach a Metal Energy. So of course I start pooping my pants immediately because ADP on the best of days is a horrendous matchup for Pikarom, and especially for my suboptimal Pikarom deck. The thought of Zacian powered up by Altered Creation and 2 Galarian Berserkers is also a nightmare, because that's basically OHKOing everything in my deck despite resistance. You know, that is a nightmare I will not recover from anytime soon. And to add insult to injury, my opponent throws down another ADP and then hits me with a Marnie. Now, at this point, I actually start thinking that my opponent's deck might not be a weird, like, counter meta kind of tech deck. I think they might actually just have some suboptimal cards in hand, like they scraped together an ADP deck just with whatever they had. And I feel pretty sure about this when I see a Copperajah V hit the discard pile, and the fact that they just slap down that Marnie before passing to me. I start digging on my turn, and I do get Tapu Koko Prism Star, and fortunately I also get a Birdkeeper for next turn. But still, I have to pass again without a fully charged Pikarom, you know, against an ADP or 2 on the board. Now, my opponent does get the Water Energy and swings into the active with the use of a Mallow and Lana, and of course they fire off the Altered Creation, which really sets the pace of this game to overdrive. Back on my turn, I fire off Dance of the Ancients, and then boss up the Energyless ADP to try and buy myself some time. Which I am able to do. My opponent attaches a Capture Energy to their main ADP, grabbing Zacian and just going for an Intrepid Sword. So great, I've dodged an attack for 1 turn. I bench a Boltund V and charge it up, and then I finally bring up Pikarom and just go for the full blitz, knowing full well that my opponent will probably annihilate me next turn with Zacian. But you know, I accept all that, and I decide to accelerate all the energy to Pikarom despite my likely imminent doom, because hey, you have to go big or go home at some point, right? And I also think that maybe, just maybe, if I can cripple an ADP, then I might be able to bring in Boltund V to, you know, clean things up. Bit of a long shot, but I gotta go for it. Now my opponent just puts down Berserker and uses Intrepid Sword, getting 2 Metal Energy onto their Doggo, which is starting to get a little scary. On my turn, I decided unwise to leave Pikarom in the active, which may have been a bit of a misplay. It would have been better, I think, just to go for the Tag Bolt here, but regardless, I bring up Boltund instead and use an energy switch to get a Lightning Energy off of my benched Hoopa and get it onto Boltund V so that we can fire off the Bolt Storm, which actually hits for a crazy amount of damage. Now, my opponent brings up Berserker, and for whatever reason they can't get Zacian or ADP into the active, so they just Intrepid Sword again, I think looking to buy some time, and they do also manage to get a 3rd and crucial Metal Energy onto their Doggo. But honestly, with Boss's Orders in hand and Boltund hitting for, what, 280 damage now, I know I can neutralize that threat pretty quickly. Now, again, I actually misplay here, not realizing that I had enough juice to OHKO the ADP, but hey, you know, it is what it is. At the moment, I was really worried about the Zacian, so I bossed that up and annihilate it with a 280 damage Bolt Storm. But luckily, I am not punished for it, because after I gust up that Zacian and take it out, my opponent, I guess in frustration, just decides to scoop. The 3rd and final game brings my Pokemon up against another inherently bad matchup, this time that matchup being Baby Blacephalon. Now, I'm forced to go first, and I try like hell to get off my combo. I know it's risky because Victini V can punish high energy counts, but you know, I also know that if they don't annihilate my Pikarom, I can blow up Victini V with a Tag Bolt and, you know, get ahead at least for a little while on the prize race. So I do go full gas and get my Pikarom fully charged after drawing through about half my deck. My opponent decides to just commit, they go full Welder and then slap down a Blacephalon, but oddly enough, they just retreat the Victini and go for a Blazer, hitting my active Jirachi for insignificant damage. Now, with my Jirachi still standing, I'm at a bit of a loss. I would have actually preferred that my opponent had knocked it out so I could just bring up Pikarom and go ham, But now, obviously, I have to be able to get a switching card in hand to get that rolling. And, you know, regardless, I do know that I have to take a KO on this Blacephalon because, hey, if it gets Welder 2 next turn, it's going to blow up whatever I bring up. So I also foolishly slapped down a Boltund V, giving my opponent another multi-prize target. I don't know. Not on my A game, I guess, today. I grab the switch off of Stellar Wish, and I fly in with Pikarom for the full blitz. Now, fearing Retribution from Victini, I actually decide to accelerate all 3 energies to my benched Boltund, which again is not... it's not the play you really want to be making. My opponent brings up Victini and slaps down a Jirachi, but I suspect that they realized pretty quickly there was no way to get a Welder or get back into this game, because they scooped pretty quickly after that. Well, despite those games having happened a week ago, I'm actually still kind of surprised with the way most of them went. My little suboptimal Pikarom is managing to hold its ground, sometimes. I mean, obviously, our Eternatus matchup, I think it's fair to say, is still an auto loss, but otherwise, I think with smart play and a bit of luck covering for bad plays, we can do well enough. Now, I am still a little bit salty about my bad luck with booster packs, and sometimes when I'm opening these up for the show, I'm standing there wondering, like, am I really just that unlucky compared to some of the people who have, like, the pack opening channels on YouTube, you know? Am I really just that unlucky, or is there some other juju going on, right? Like, even on the grounds of just opening packs for your collection, I feel like other people... You're crazy, right? Some people I've seen open up a booster box of Darkness Ablaze and pull like 2 Crobats, right? And I got one card that is usable in my deck. So I don't know. Maybe something's up. Maybe I'm just a bit salty. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to wrap things up for this week. Please like the video, leave a comment, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Despite the atrocious polls, I keep going for you guys, and, you know, actually, I'm really happy to say that a lot of you have been commenting and offering some really helpful advice. Special thanks to Fluffy Dex and Zekrom Tuber for taking the time to go back and forth with me about some really cool options to hopefully make that Pikarom control deck a reality someday, if our polls get better. Okay, I'm rambling enough. I will catch you all next week, so until then, take it easy.